Hello, beautiful divine beings. Hello, welcome. We're gonna do a little, well, I don't know. It's just kind of something. If you're feeling called to like start the spiritual journey and you really don't know where to start, I got a couple what I call beginner spirituality things, teachings, whatever paths that you could get started on if you wanted to. If you weren't sure where to start or where to go, these are kind of. I mean, there's no shortcuts. It's you got to do the work either way, but there are definitely long cuts. I think so. Um, so just a couple, like a couple places to start. Um, so beginner spirituality, shortcuts. As I said, there's not really any shortcuts, but AKA the Bible is way too long and heavily edited and or badly translated. Um, so yeah, so that's a lot of the issues with the Bible. Uh, I won't get into like the mainstream Jesus versus the Gnostic Jesus. That's a debate for another day. But so just a couple things like so what I think is a good way to if you're into like the manifesting thing, like whatever, play around with it, but like honestly the best way to do it is what I call non-specific manifestation. I don't know if people call it like quantum manifestation or something along those lines, but basically instead of like picturing the exact stuff you want, like your vision board, all that crap. I mean, that's fine to have that, but but like when you're actually like in your meditative state. So that's another thing is you need to learn to meditate. I just need to do it. Or pray. It's all the same thing really. Just sit in quiet. Go inside basically and look at your thoughts, watch your thoughts, and yes, and you just need to do that so you can realize that your thoughts aren't you, but you can't. You got to do that yourself just to watch them. You realize you're the watcher, which is, I mean, it's more than that, but that's. So yeah, non-specific manifestation. Basically, instead of focusing on the exact stuff you want, focus on the feeling of what you want. So, say you want to be, you want to bring in or you want to meet your soulmate or whatever, um, your person. Um, Focus on the feeling you want. Focus on the love. And so a good way to do that is to, if you're having trouble, that's what the visualization is really for, is to get that feeling in you. So you're actually doing all the visualization so you can feel the feeling. So you can jump right to the feeling. um, but yeah, that's why gratitude works so good, because it brings it. You can go to a something that's already happened, that a feeling you've already felt, or something that's already real to you, and so it's a lot easier to get that feeling from something that's tangible. So like say say you had a past romance or something that you it was a really good romance, but people go their separate ways. People grow. People grow apart. Whatever. People change over time. I mean, that's the one thing that is changeless, is change. So um, so yeah. Anyways, you can focus on that relationship or the good times and be grateful for those times. When you're doing your manifestation work, your meditation, your focusing. So that's why gratitude is really powerful. So think of similar things that you've already have. That you want more of, basically. The good things. Focus on the good things, and that's really the whole like spirituality game is. I mean, you can't just focus on the good things, because that's spiritual bypassing. But uh, yeah, when you're trying to bring things in, that's what you want to do. But healing work, shadow work, that's another game, and that's a whole can of worms. Depending on your life. Some people just have a charmed life and they don't have a lot of trauma and stuff to heal, and that's good for them. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring into the world. So that's hopefully the new Earth children will have much happier lives, a lot less trauma to heal. So gratitude, forgiveness, yeah, and that's all part of shadow work. Forgiveness is you got to forgive, and I know that's hard to it's a hard pill to swallow when someone's done something really awful to you, but it's really the only way to be free of them. If you don't forgive people who've hurt you or done wrong to you, you you keep an energetic tether to them forever until you forgive them. So it's on you to do the forgiving and just to let it, to be free. You have to be free to be happy. So if you got someone who someone who did the worst thing to you, you probably want to be free of them. So you just got to forgive them. That's the only way. You can't just. I mean, there's you can there's I guess that's not exactly true, because you can transmute those feelings. You can focus them into art and other outlets, but really at the end of the day, though, you do have to do some forgiving. So those feelings are gonna that tether's gonna remain while that feeling is still there, even just a little bit. And then surrender. That's along the lines of forgiveness. That's just trusting the divine, and that kind of goes along with the non-specific manifestation. You're focusing on the feeling and trusting. You're surrendering to the divine, and so say you do want something specific, you ask for it, and then you let it go. You don't focus on it. You don't Because the more you focus on something that you don't have that you want, that kind of actually reinforces that you don't have it, and it kind of blocks that sometimes. And I think that's something that people run into sometimes. Is they keep focusing on, you just got to let it go and trust the divine. Trust that if you don't get exactly what you were wishing for, that you set out to manifest, you just got to trust that either source will give you something better. If you don't get exactly what you want, source has a way of surprising you. It likes to surprise you. It's fun. So uh, yeah, that's a couple like quick shortcuts. Like it's all it's all a lot of work. um, but those are just kind of like the big, like the the big spiritual growth methods. So, and then I just got a couple books that I think are good to get started with. Um, Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, and he's got his other book, I think, is New Earth, or The New Earth, or something along those lines. Um, but he's like a modern day Zen master, basically, and he just teaches you kind of like meditation, and it's up to date. you know it's not like ancient, ancient Zen koans and stuff. It's easy ways to be here now, basically. The power of now is 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 where everything happens. So that's where you have to act from. That's where you have to be. If anytime you're not in the now, you're not present, and you're either in the past or the future in your mind, and neither of those things are real. You know, you never the future never gets here. Once the future here, it's the present. So it's always the present, and the same thing with the past. The past is in your mind too. It's all memories, and so that's why you can change who you are at any time, because the past and the future are not real. They're not here. Now is all it is. So, and that's easier said than done. You have to truly want to change, and truly be know. First of all, you have to know who you are to know what you want to change. So, but anyways, that's a great way. That's a great place to start for if you want to learn about meditation and mindfulness, presence, and being here. You know, being in the present moment. Matt Kahn has a couple of really good books. Um, I actually haven't read this one. Whatever Arises, love that. But I've read parts of it. I've read his other book, The Universe Always Has a Plan. Actually, I have it right over there, but I'm not even gonna grab it. But yeah, it's really simple. It's just really simple. Whatever arises, love that. So it's whatever you're going through in life, meet it with love rather than fear. Basically, it's always love versus fear. Basically, so it's love or some love or some like variation of basically love or fear. So fear, you know, fear could be anger or it could be, it's all based in fear. But um, yeah, so basically, yeah, that's just a real simple rule for life is if you whatever's happening, just meet it with love, and love conquers all. It, 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 it's the kingpin, it can conquers all. Um, so that's a good one to start with. And these are pretty short books. You can knock them out if you're into audiobooks. You can knock them out in 8 hours or whatever. Some of them, or even less. But so another good one is Don Miguel Ruiz. He's got the Four Agreements, and I think it's called the Fifth Agreement or something. But it's like he is a Toltec. I don't know if he's a shaman or just a Toltec teacher, but he learned from like his ancestors. I think it's been a while since I read the book, but I think his aunt or his uncle or his great grandpa or something had like been taught this Toltec wisdom, which is like um, indigenous North American people. I think North American. It might be Central American actually. Now that I think about it, don't quote me on that. It might be South. So like I said, it's been a while since I read it, but I actually do live by these rules though because I think that they're some of the best rules to live by. So I'm gonna go over them real quick. So it's called the Four Agreements, and they literally can just these will just boost your spirituality like game like instantly if you just start following these four rules. It's incredible. And then there's a fifth rule too, but we'll get to that. So the first rule or agreement is be impeccable with your word. And so what that means is um, speak truth. Just don't lie. Don't gossip. Don't lie, and don't waste your words either. Don't just yapping. I mean, some people that's their job is to yap, so that's fine. But um, but yeah, don't be impeccable with your word. Don't if you take a vow of like truth with the universe, that gives your words incredible power. Like it backs you up with power. If you stick to your vow or whatever, the universe will recognize that and it will empower your words, like seriously empower them, um, with magic, like real magic. Um, and then he talks about black versus white magic. So that's like basically lies versus truth. So when you're lying, you're doing black magic, and that's going to have consequences. So, so yeah, I'm just doing a quick overview. You should really read these books because I mean, if any of them call out to you, definitely check them out. So, uh, the second agreement is don't take anything personally, and so basically, everybody, you don't know what anybody is going through. You know, somebody cuts you off in traffic, and you might, I don't know, maybe the guy who cut you off, he didn't even notice that you were there. Maybe he like puts his hand up, and you think you saw him flip you off or something, and you're taking it all personally, pissed off, and then like he didn't even know, he didn't even notice that you're pissed off at nothing. There's like a I can't remember. I'm gonna butcher the story, but there's something about uh, like two rowboats or something, and the rowboat just the rowboat hits the other rowboat, and the guy thinks there's someone in the rowboat, and he's really pissed off at the guy. But then he finds out there's nobody in it, and he's like, oh, he was pissed at an inanimate object, you know. So it's like, don't take anything personally. You don't know what's happening. Everybody's going through their own. Everybody's in their own world, you know. Like it's really silly to take stuff personally. Um, and then the third one is don't make assumptions. Again, and then that's kind of along the same lines. Yeah, like when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, as the saying goes. But yeah, you really need to communicate with people, and that avoids a lot of drama. So just don't make assumptions. Don't assume someone's pissed off at you just because they came in they were in a bad mood when they came in the room. Who knows what happened? Like maybe they stubbed their toe, you know, whatever. So you just need to communicate it. It avoids a lot of drama. And yeah, let's see what else we got. Always do your best, and that's like so you know that's like the overarching. So for the other three rules, just always do your best. You know, you're gonna screw up, you're gonna mess up. Like I've like basically I try to always tell the truth, and and sometimes it's tough. Like somebody asks you a question you don't want to answer, you don't want to you want to tell a little white lie, but I will just not answer. Um, but you know I find myself like what was it? Oh my doctor asked me a question and I didn't really. I kind of told a white little lie or something because I was a little embarrassed or something, and I felt really bad about it actually afterwards. So I like I said a little prayer afterwards like. Sorry, I broke my bow a little bit, even though it was minor. I still felt bad about it, and went to the divine with it. Um, so yeah, you know, just do your best. Always do your best. Um, and then his fifth rule, she has another book about, which I read, but it's been a while, too, on that one. And it's a good rule to add on to these is be skeptical, but be skeptical, but learn to listen. So that's when you're talking to someone who has a different viewpoint than you, or that maybe you think they have a different viewpoint than you. So you're skeptical, but listen. Maybe it's not so different, you know, or maybe there's common ground. But at least listen, you know. At the end of the day, maybe you still don't agree, but it's good to to understand other people is it goes a long way, you know, for healing and for peace on the earth. So anyways, I'm not sure when I'll post this. And I actually don't really kind of know. I'm gonna do a few more of these videos like this, where I kind of cover some topics or spirituality, like stuff that I think is worth going over. But I don't know for sure where I'm going, the direction of the channel going forward. So we'll see. But there's definitely gonna be at least a few more of these. And that's kind of why it's been a little while since the last one. I do want to talk. Yeah, I do want to do one about like the Gnostic Jesus. I know I did I did the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, kind of an overview, which is very heavily Gnostic. You know, it's Gnostic teachings. But yeah, there's quite a big difference between like the Gnostic Jesus and the mainstream Jesus, and I did want to cover that. So I definitely want to do a video about that. And there's a couple others that I had written down, penned in. So yeah. Anyways, yeah. Um, there's good places to start. Like I said, there's no shortcuts, but you don't have to go to get in touch with the divine. You don't have to start going to church, and you don't have to read the whole Bible, and you can, and it's all that can be spiritual experiences to get in touch with the divine. All that can be very good ways. Start praying, to specific angels or to to God or to Source or to Jesus or whatever. But yeah, if you don't buy into that stuff, you can. There's a lot of stuff you can do. Um, to get in touch with your own inner, like, if you don't believe there's a divine out there, there is an inner, like, we all have these, like, this, even if you don't believe in, like, collective subconscious or unconscious or whatever it is, subconscious, unconscious, I always get those two mixed up, but I think they're the same thing basically. But even if you don't believe in that, you still have DNA from, like, all your ancestors and stuff, and, like, back billions of years, to all the, the when we crawled out of the primordial slime or whatever, supposedly. But you still have all those memories in your DNA, and it's like there's all these archetypes and stuff that have built up in our DNA over time. That's all accessible to you. So get in touch with that. You can draw on that. Joseph Campbell is like a amazing. Like, I should do a whole, like, thing about him. He's awesome. Actually, just watch his God, what's his series called? I can't remember right now. But yeah, he was like the master of, like, knowing, like, he knew all the, like, he was just a religious scholar, but and philosopher, but he could tie all these, like, different, like, Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Gnosticism, blah blah blah, and he could say, look, this is the common thread between all these things. They're all, like, pointing to the same thing. It's all the it's like the Buddha saying, it's all these teachings are fingers pointing at the moon, and so all these people who get obsessed with the teachings themselves, they're looking at the finger instead of the moon. Like, the finger is pointing at the moon. Like, the moon is what we're trying what you're trying to get in touch with, not the finger. So it's the finger is less important than the actual moon. Um, so yeah. Anyways, well, it was actually kind of long, but 22 minutes. But yeah. Hopefully, I don't know. Maybe that gives you a little idea on where to get started in the old spirituality realm. So, all right. So I hope you have an excellent day. Thank you for checking out this video, and hope to make some more, and we'll see what other kind of content comes out soon. And God bless you.